It took Amazon Web Services nearly 2 decades of hyper-growth to scale into a $128 billion cloud empire. It took Salesforce over 25 years just to cross $41 billion. Yet this stealth AI infrastructure company just rocketed from $9 billion to an annualized run rate of $47 billion in under 5 months. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, didn't just grow fast. It broke the curve that enterprise software has followed for 2 decades. Here's what actually happened, and why almost nobody outside Silicon Valley and Wall Street saw it coming. Let's start with the trajectory, because the shape of it matters more than any single figure. End of 2025. $9 billion in annualized revenue. February 2026. $14 billion. April, $30 billion. By the first week of May, $47 billion. That's not linear growth. That's a company roughly doubling its entire revenue base every 6 weeks, for months in a row. Analysts covering the space have said they can't find a comparable example at this scale in any industry ever. One quick caveat, because it matters. That $47 billion is a run rate. It's last month's revenue multiplied by 12. The way startups report momentum to investors. It's not an audited annual number, but it was disclosed to investors putting in tens of billions of dollars, which means there's real legal exposure if it's fabricated. On June 1st of this year, Anthropic confidentially filed paperwork with the SEC to go public at a valuation of $965 billion, built on a $65 billion funding round that closed just weeks earlier. And it's not only enterprise money. New analysis of credit card data covering 28 million U.S. consumers shows Claude's paying subscriber base and consumer revenue jumped roughly 75% between January and May of this year. The chatbot, known mostly among developers, is now pulling in everyday paying users too. So where's the actual money coming from? Not $20 a month chatbot subscriptions. When a consumer chats with an AI assistant, they might use a few hundred words a day. When an enterprise development team turns an autonomous coding agent loose on a real corporate codebase, that system can burn through thousands of dollars in compute every single week. Anthropic built its entire strategy around that gap. The clearest proof is Claude Code, Anthropic's coding agent. It hit $1 billion in annualized revenue within 6 months of its public launch, then reached $2.5 billion by February of this year, making it one of the fastest scaling software products in history. Enterprise customers now make up over half of that revenue, with companies like Netflix, Spotify, L'Oreal, and KPMG running it at production scale. Even Microsoft, which sells its own competing coding tool, has reportedly let its own engineering teams adopt Claude Code internally. The bigger number, roughly 70% of the Fortune 100 and 8 of the Fortune 10, are now Claude customers. More than 1,000 companies each spend over $1 million a year on Claude, a figure that doubled in under 2 months. And it's not because Anthropic out-marketed anyone. It's because once a development team builds its workflows around the model, ripping it out becomes a multi-month engineering project, not a subscription cancellation. Here's the part most coverage misses. The deeper moat isn't software. It's physical infrastructure. Amazon has committed up to $25 billion to Anthropic, securing up to 5 gigawatts of dedicated compute capacity built on Amazon's own chips. Separately, Anthropic locked in another 5 gigawatts of next-generation chip capacity through a partnership with Google and Broadcom, set to come online starting next year. And in one of the more unusual deals in tech right now, Anthropic is paying Elon Musk's SpaceX $1.25 billion a month through 2029 for compute capacity across two massive data centers in Memphis, adding roughly 325,000 NVIDIA GPUs to its pipeline. On top of that, there's a $50 billion U.S. infrastructure build-out underway with a company called FluidStack, with new data centers coming online in Texas and New York this year. Added up. And Anthropic isn't just buying chips. It's buying years of power and silicon before its competitors fully grasp how much they'll need. Now, before this turns into a highlight reel, a few things are worth being honest about. This is not a one-horse race. OpenAI's own run rate is estimated around $33 billion. And ChatGPT's total user base, somewhere near 800 million weekly users, still dwarfs Claude's consumer footprint. Anthropic is winning the enterprise economics battle. It has not won the war for AI users broadly. There's also real skepticism worth flagging. Some analysts have pointed out that Anthropic's brief run at profitability this year coincided suspiciously closely with a temporary discount period in its SpaceX compute deal, raising fair questions about how much of that profitable quarter reflects the underlying business versus a well-timed pricing arrangement. And the company isn't operating without friction. Just this month, the U.S. government temporarily ordered Anthropic to suspend access to its most advanced models over national security concerns, before partially restoring access to a small group of vetted partners. That's not the behavior of a company operating unchecked. So, is this a monopoly? Not literally. Not yet. But it is something close to a structural moat. Enterprise contracts that are brutally hard to leave, and a compute supply chain that's increasingly hard for rivals to match. Whether that holds once Anthropic actually goes public, and its real, audited numbers become public record, is the next chapter of this story. And it's one worth watching closely. If you want the breakdown of what happens when Anthropic's S1 actually drops, subscribe, that's coming.